Good afternoon. I want to thank everyone who's joined the Sage 500 free training session. My name is Kate Mullen. I'm the Director of Support here at EDV Technologies. This free training session is geared toward newer users of Sage 500 to go over navigation, small customization to the desktop, search and navigation, and drill down features. After you log into Sage 500, you're greeted with a desktop full of components. This desktop provides a starting point for all system tasks. For a first-time user, this looks a little bit overwhelming, so let's review what you're seeing and the functions behind it. When looking at the desktop, at the very top, you have your main toolbar. The main toolbar provides access to functions to the following menus: File, Edit, View, View Tasks, My Tasks, Recently Accessed Tasks, Tools, Windows, and Help. And we'll go down through those features later. The standard toolbar includes the dock desktop, Tasks, My Tasks, and Recently Accessed Tasks. The task pane on the left lists a task and enables you to navigate through the Sage 500 software and launch the task. The My Tasks is a customizable pane by user to allow you to add frequently used tasks, shortcuts, URLs, groups, and folders for quick access. Recently accessed tasks provides a list of tasks that you recently accessed. You can drag and drop these tasks into your My Task pane. The content page is a display area for a business insights task or any website selected inside the desktop. The company management toolbar is a toolbar and buttons that open up and change currently logged in users. You can switch users and you can switch companies. The web toolbar provides a standard IE navigation button, which includes the back, forward, stop, refresh, and home. You can browse out to any web page, including Google or any of your intranet pages. The status bar at the bottom contains information on the status of the desktop, including the license type, task menu type, the current user, the company, and the business date. So let's go ahead and get into some of these different task panes. At the very top, we have the same selections as we saw before. We can open a company, change user, and change business date. You're going to see within the system that you can access all these tasks in multiple locations. The edit allows you to cut, copy, and paste. This is all related to your task pane. So if you want to select the task down there, if you want to cut that, and then paste it back in, you can add it to the bottom and put it right down there at the bottom. The view allows you to dock your desktop, which will hide it so you can run other applications in the back. It also allows you to show or hide the My Task, Recently Accessed Tasks, or the Search task. Gives you a little bit more room. And we're going to go ahead and put those back. The task is, again, another location where you can launch a task, similar to the menu on the left. More of a folder display. The My Tasks is another way that you can get to the My Tasks from the right side. We currently do not have anything over there. We'll be adding something shortly. The Recently Accessed Tasks, again, is another drop down where you have all your tasks that you recently launched. And the tools. The display tracker. This task is used typically within support. So when you click this, it's going to put a little window down at the bottom. And anytime you launch a task, it's going to record back-end functions. This is useful in support in case you get an error. We can see what exactly is going on. To stop that from running, you just go ahead and select Display Task and check it. Locking the desktop allows you to lock the desktop or unlock the desktop to go ahead and make customizations. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. Organized menu. You can have multiple menus in your system. You can have custom menus where you're only displaying one or two modules or a couple of tasks. And you can customize a menu for a specific group in your company or specific users. You can also create a new task. You can add a folder, a shortcut, and a shortcut could be a Word document or a URL, a new Sage 500 ERP task, a custom report that you create in Crystal Reports, a visual process flow, or a URL. You can also add this to My Tasks over on the right side. You can add a task group to My Task, and we'll go ahead and I'll review that a little bit later. You can create a shortcut on a desktop. By creating a shortcut on the desktop, this will actually put it right on your desktop or your machine. However, you have to launch Sage 500 login in order to launch that task. So if you close out of the login window and try to launch that task, you're going to be prompted to log back in. You can delete a task, and this will delete it off the menu. Or you could rename a task. So if you don't like the naming convention that Sage has provided, you can maintain items, just item entry as an example. The properties gives you more detail on the executable or the DLL that you're running. This is useful for development or support. And then you can move around your tasks. You can move them up and down or in and out. You can use large icons. Now just make the desktop a little bit bigger, just in case your eyesight's not that good. If you want to clear your personalizations, this is any modification you've done to the desktop. You can do this. I'm not going to save my menu changes. And that actually repopulated my task and recently accessed tasks from when I last logged in. So I'm going to go ahead and clear my recently accessed tasks. And we're going to go ahead and get rid of the tasks that are on My Task and rebuild that menu. The Help provides a help center, and this is a knowledge base or a frequently asked questions that Sage provides. And then the About Sage is going to provide you with your version, and you can also check your system information. So we have a lot of customers that ask us if they can customize their desktop, change the menus, move the My Tasks around. So I'm going to go ahead and review that right now. So the first step you have to do is lock your desktop. That's actually unlocking it so you can move stuff around and make modifications to your toolbar. Now the one feature that I like is that you can take the My Tasks and just move it right into the center of this window just by selecting that little square. And it's going to put it into a tab. So we're also going to do that for the recently accessed tasks. Just drag and drop it into the center window. And now you have a little bit more of a bigger area to work with. So let's go ahead and start building the My Task menu. And this is typically used if you want to create like a workflow, or if you have an order of tasks that you follow throughout the day. We're going to just go into the sales order module, and we're going to add a task for enter sales orders. We just right click on that and add to my tasks. We're going to go ahead and add the print sales orders. We're going to pick it, and then we're going to go ahead and generate the shipment. So that added it to my tasks, which is now in my new tab at the top. So if I want to rename these for a new user that isn't familiar with the flow, I can right click on it and hit rename, and we'll just type in 1 and enter sales orders. We'll rename the second one to 2. So that kind of gives them a little bit of a workflow on the steps that they need to process throughout the day. Now, the recently accessed tasks. So once we launch one task, that is going to be added to my recently accessed tasks. Just a history of what you've done throughout the day and which tasks you access most. So as you add these specific tasks to your menus, you're also going to see them add to the top one. So that's how we customize or change the My Task menu, and how we populate the recently accessed. So let's go ahead and take a look at the search bar. This search bar unfortunately does not search the system's transactions or data, but it does search the menu options. A lot of customers use this if they have a custom menu and they add a lot of reports that aren't standard, or they're looking for something that they're not familiar with, or if they're new to the system. So if you type in, go up to the search, and you want to look for maintain items, you can go ahead and click on the little binoculars there, and it's going to find anything that's named maintain items. It's not the most robust search, but it is useful when you're not familiar with where things are located in the system. So while we're still in the unlocked mode of the desktop, let's go ahead and take a look at another feature that you can customize, and that is the customized toolbars. Unfortunately, you can't change any of the standard toolbars, like the company management, the standard, the menu maintenance, or the task maintenance. But if you want to create a new toolbar, or if you want to add to My Toolbar, you can do that. And I'm just going to call this, we won't call it that, we'll call it Kate's Toolbox. And you can check the location where you want to store that toolbar. You can dock it at the top, bottom, left, right, or it could just be a floating toolbar. We're just going to put it right at the top of the rest of them. So it puts a toolbar up here. You can go to the commands, and you can pick anything that you want, however you want to build your toolbar. If you have a custom, if you have a standard processes that you run through on a daily basis and you want to be able to access that easily, you can make it custom to that. So I'm just going to pick a couple of things here. We're going to create new tasks, add to my tasks, delete a task, and so on. So then you can move this toolbar wherever you want. We're just going to move it right up here. And you have to check the line. I think I actually removed some of my tasks, but that's alright. You have to grab it when the arrows are 4, and you can move it wherever you want. You can actually move any of the toolbars, just like the task panes. Now, if you do make a mistake and you don't like, how things are displayed on your desktop and you want to go back to the standard, the quick and easiest way is to clear your personalizations. And that's going to take you all the way back to the way it was before. And now we're back to the standard display. And as you can see, the toolbar doesn't have the arrow, so it is now locked. We can't move anything around, and we can't screw anything up. So let's take a look at the common menus. Every module is going to have a standard set of menus. The maintenance menu establishes settings and information about your company. The activities perform common tasks such as transaction entry, posting, and period end, as an example. Reports. This is where you can print reports for the modules to show activities that have taken place. Insights. These are the explorers that will show activity and history in your system and allow you to review related data. Tools is the only one that's a little bit different. That's in the System Manager menu. This is primarily used for sysadmin users, but users can access the user preferences. So let's go ahead and take a look at the user preferences. So every user has permissions to go in and set the way that their enter keys or tab keys work. Some people like to hit the enter key instead of the tab, and vice versa. You can also change the way your toolbars are displayed, whether they're flat or if they're raised up. You can also select whether you maximize report viewers, allow address bar entry in the browser, which is right up here. The Show Customizer, Data Porter, and Office, those will display if you have purchased the modules. You can also use the same business date for all modules. And again, the business date is right down in the corner. And this is by user. You can use system date for the business date. And the system date is your machine date, so whatever your computer date is. You can use transaction date for the post date. And you can commit transactions on that post date, on a specific post date. Now the passwords, if you are not using Windows NT authentication, and you are using the Sage 500 users and passwords, then you can go ahead and enter a current password and a new password and change your password within these settings. And again, this is only for users that are not set up with NT authentication. The default settings let you allow settings for default printers for immediate picking, will call print picking, default invoices. You also have document transmittal settings, where you can set the transmittal method to either print, preview, or manual. And you can also set defaults for your order entry. So if you know that you're always going to be ordering out of Warehouse Rialto, you can go ahead and set that setting here. And if you're always going to be defaulting to salesperson Alfred, you can set it, and so on. The show quantity available is useful in sales order entry, so you can see what you have on stock and what you have available to ship and pick. So let's go ahead and close out of that. Let's go ahead and open up one of the maintenance menus. We're going to go into maintain items. So throughout the system you're going to see a navigator and a lookup. The lookup is a magnifying glass and the navigator is a flashlight. These are query tools that allow you to access the database tables or view information linked to the current field on your open window. The navigator is a record search, which retrieves a complete record for the selected item, where the field search is a magnifying glass. This retrieves data only for the field next to the lookup button. So let's go ahead and open up the navigator. When you open up the navigator, the lookup looks similar to this. It's actually using the same window. You're going to have a standard view with some filters, and the filters are right here on the bottom. Item description, and then what the return data is. Now you can go ahead and save your filters and save your settings if you have a specific criteria that you're always going to be looking up by. We'll do as an example purchase product line, and we'll look up components. In the quick search you're going to have to change to all. So if I want to save this filter and always use it, you can click on the Save As. We're just going to call it Component. And we'll use it as our default filter or default view and save the filter on it. And then when you go back into the system and you do a lookup on this specific maintain items, you're going to see a comp and a standard. Now if I don't like, if I don't want to save this filter, if I don't want to save this view, then I can go ahead and delete it and go back to the standard. One of the nice features that I like is that you can customize what you're displaying. So if I want to see the item long description, the item class, this will add it to the filter and it'll also add it to the display at the bottom in the track method. So now when you go over to the right, you're going to see your new columns, which you can move around. You can sort by. You can also export this to Excel. Okay. So another cool feature that I think is really nice to have and support is that there is this about, and anyone in the technical side, if they're ever in the SQL side, they can go ahead and click on that I button, and it's going to give you the actual SQL view that you're using to pull this data. So it's VLU item. So I personally think that's really cool to have. It tells you exactly what SQL view you're using, and you can go out to SQL and you can query that information. Okay. So another area I wanted to get into was the drill down features. Anytime you're in a transaction or a maintenance screen, you want to pull additional transactions or additional details on this specific record you're looking at. So if you right click on the item or on the transaction that you're in, an example would be invoices, you can right click and you can explore the item. Now we'll open up the Explorer. You can also preview, and you can preview all open sales orders and any other transaction and the stock status. So let's go ahead and open up the sales orders. Currently there are not any open sales orders for this specific item. Let's see if there's any work orders. There is one work order. And you can even go further and drill down into that. You can go into work order entry and take a look at that specific transaction. It's just an easy way to get to the data that you're trying to research. You can also drill into the standard BIEs, the analyzers, which will give you a little bit more information. It's similar to a BIE. You can also manage it, so you can go into item maintenance or price inquiry, inventory maintenance. So if we go into price inquiry, let's just open this one up. And we're going to go into the explorers here in a minute. I'll show you that. So you can drill down to the price inquiry or any other task that you're allowed to drill down into. It's just a nice feature to have. You don't have to bounce around through the system. You can just access everything right within that one screen. So let's go ahead and explore the item. And this is going to open up a Business Insight Explorer, or BIE. This one has a group on it. And it also has a sum on it. So let's go ahead and go across some of these features here. The one that I really wanted to show you was, it's right here, the load data at start. Now in support we get a lot of performance calls. A lot of them are in the general ledger, where we have they open up a BIE and it's the GL transactions. Now you can imagine the amount of data in that BIE. So it hangs and it runs for a while. So the best way to open up a big Explorer that you know is going to be filled with data is to not load it at start. So you want to make sure this is unchecked, and then you want to go in and set your filters and what you're looking for, and then execute by refreshing the BIE. So this one is not loading at start, so we're going to go ahead and refresh. I'm going to take out my grouping and my sum. And this is showing me my item and any purchase order that's open. So it's similar to the drill down, so you can go ahead and open up the open work orders, and you can look at those. And you can go ahead and edit the columns similar to the view or the lookup or the navigator. So you can select what columns you want to display. So if I want to add more columns, I can. And like we saw when we went in there, you can go ahead and group by specific field type. So if I only want to look for the finished good items. You can also sum, count, or average, count, maximize, minimize, or sum a value on there. You can clear filters, select a filter. Another cool feature within the BIEs, if you have multiple users that are running their own filters and their own criteria, and you want to review how they're running it, or you want to review their data, if you show all settings, it's going to show all the users and all their specific settings. Unfortunately, we only have me as a user in this one system as a demo, so it's only going to show mine. It's not going to allow you to show all settings. But if you click on Show All Settings, after you do that, you're going to see multiple settings on the right-hand side. And you can select that user setting and run it and see what the data is that they're returning and the filters that they're using. You can also export to Excel, Word, PDF, and XML. And that pretty much concludes the overview on the navigation, some of the basic customizations that you can do on the desktop, the menus, BIEs, and drill downs.